Hello, Stacy. Hello, Robert. How are you guys? Okay, the Buddy Rich book, if you remember. Is this the one you have, Stacy? This is just a snare drum variation. Chris, hello, Chris. Paul, how you doing? Okay, is this the one you have, Tracy? Because I have another one. It's around the kit. These two were sent to me by Ted McKenzie to critique them or to do a review on them. And it's just the same as the regular Buddy Rich book. Chris, is this your first time here? Hello, Robert. Sorry, I didn't recognize you. All right. Okay, Seth, how are you? Chris, is this your first time here? We're going to take off from where we left off last night. We did what? The 5-stroke roll, the 5-stroke rough, the 7-stroke roll, and the 7-stroke rough. Are there any questions about that? Okay, let's go reviewing the 5-stroke roll, if you will. Remember the difference between the roll and the rough. The roll is doubles, the rough is singles. Now, it's no longer called the rough, again, aka the single 5. However you want to pronounce it, we're on the same page, it's not a problem. Okay, Chris, can you tell everybody here, say hello to everybody, and who you may be, where you're from, and if you email me, I will put you on my mailing list so you can get the week's agenda, the time and locations of the lesson, and PDFs if you need them. Okay? Well, Ted McKenzie, I believe, bought the rights to the book. I had him on here. We did a live interview on YouTube like this, and I set it up so I could use my Skype, for example, and everybody who's on Skype can come and see it. But he just bought the rights to it, I guess, because it was open. And, you know, there's nothing revised, really, in the first book there, the snare drum rudiments. And it just looks a little bit modernized, okay? Thank you, Stacy. Hello, Dennis. Now we're waiting for, I think, Horse Monte. Okay, see that Stacy was kind enough to put my email in there. So if you take my email me, Chris, and I will send you the time and locations of the week's lessons and the PDFs if you need any, okay? Your new Facebook girlfriend, all right. Romance on YouTube. All right, old dog, how are you? Okay, so 5-stroke roll from the Buddy Rich book. Simple, 5 strokes, doubles with the right, doubles with the left, boom, the accent on the right. It's presented in 6/8, 6 beats to a measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Basic concept. The way it's presented, it's 5/8 notes and a 5/8 note rest. 2 rights, 2 lefts, a right as doubles. Now, what's more important in understanding what the 5-stroke roll is and how it moves is absolutely maintaining the levels and the sound. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the down. That's ground zero. That's down there. I mean, that's what it is. 5-stroke roll and 6/8 again. See the level in there? That's where you want to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now you want to understand what that is, all right? And the more you practice that, the slower you practice it, and maintaining the motion, down, I mean tap, up, tap, tap, down, 6, tap, up, tap, tap, down, 6. You're going to get a nice, clean, relaxed 5-stroke roll. But that's only one formation. The other formation I want to explain to you is 4/16 and a quarter. Okay, so the 4/16 you have 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and the 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4. You want to pick it up a little bit. 1 E and the 2, 3 E and the 4. We understand that, everyone? Okay? We understand that? Now, that's basically two forms of the 5-stroke roll in different formation, rather. It's a 5-stroke roll in different formation. The next one, we're going to go to 30 seconds. We all know how to play 30 seconds. If I was doing 16ths as doubles, 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and I said you want to play it as 30 seconds, for each count you would double the stroke. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E. That's 30 seconds. Okay? So now, you have to be a pretty good reader to go any further with this stuff because, reading is extremely essential. They say, well, Buddy Rich didn't know how to read. Who cares? I don't care. The guy was a naturally born player. All right? But all the other dudes, man, they could read. You could put I got these people call me up and say they want to study. I said, okay, they make an appointment. They just got a scholarship to Berkeley. All right, I said, well, what does he want with me? The guy comes in here, I open up to the first page of reading in the Buddy Rich book. He don't know how to read it. That's amazing, because one of the credentials you need is you're an avid reader to get into Berkeley, let alone get a scholarship. So let's not bullshit each other. Learn how to read. Now, I'm going to give two more different formations of the 5-stroke roll. 4 30 seconds in an eighth. 4 30 seconds in an eighth. So we're going to count 4 30 seconds into the eighth. 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and the. Second one, you're going to start the 5 on the and as 30 seconds. You're going to go 1 E and 2 E and 3 E. 1 E and 2 E. And that's probably the one you're most familiar, you hear all the time. Or play the groove like you wanted to do last night, hoist. So what I'm doing there is I'm starting with 1, I'm going 1 E and, then I hit the 2. 1 E and, you son of a gun. Come on, Matt, that's not good. Excuse me. I'm going to write this one out for you. I'm going to send it to everybody. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E. You hear the 5s in there? It's essential. You're studying time. You have to know math. Quarter notes, eighth notes, 16ths, 30 seconds, triplets, so on and so forth. Grouping to 5, grouping to 6, all that's all the language of drumming. Okay? Now, one more with the 5. We did all of them except the triplet. Remember the triple roll? This is in your stick control formula book, when you're doing the triplet roll. 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1. So how we get a 5 in there? Real simple. We're going to we're going to count the eighth note triplet. 1 and 2 and 3 and now watch, and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Do we hear the 5 in here, guys? All right, I'm going to try to write it out. I can't promise you when I can send it to you. I've just been so overwhelmed with work, Mr. Hoist, that and plus trying to finish the book. I'm revising it before I even complete it, but that's okay. All right, I'll try to send it to everybody. But that's you understand, that's in the two variations of the 5 are in the stick control formula. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so are the 7s, the 9s. Okay, now the other variation, instead of starting the 5-stroke roll on the beginning of the triplet, 1 and 2 and now we're going to start the roll, or the triplet roll, which becomes a 5 on the end of the triplet. You're going to go 1 and 2 and 3. Do we understand that, everyone? Because we can move on to the 5-stroke rough, which is basically the same thing as a 5-stroke roll, or a single 5 if you want to call it. The level isn't just in a different place, is in a different position because of the sticking. So the 5-stroke rough, again, we go to the Buddy Rich book. And again, it's presented in 6/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 is the eighth note rest. So I'm playing 5 strokes, but I'm counting 6 notes. And 6 is a rest. So I'm using, instead of doubles, I'm using alternate sticking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You see the 3 come up? Again, let me start with the right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's many beats. The sticking is all singles, and the level is in a different place because of the fact it's not doubles, it's singles. Okay? Okay, now to the 7. Now Jimmy made a good point yesterday, and he's absolutely correct. I like to play the 7s as alternating. They come in many different forms. All right? The way the way Henry Adler presents it is alternating. Okay? You know, the hand you end with is the hand you're going to start the next one with. So we're doing an alternating 7-stroke roll. So if I do it in 4/4, which I like to do, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 is the last note, but I have to count the and to make the measure complete. 1 and 2 and 3 and watch. 1 and 2 and wait a minute. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. It got a 5 in there. Now that again, that is, well, I'm sure he knew how to read somewhat. I mean, if you threw Portraits in Rhythm at him, you go, oh my goodness. But Portraits in Rhythm is a very complicated book, but it has a lot of different phrasing in it. But I'm sure that he could read a note of quarter notes and eighth notes and sixteenths. And that's basically, you know, if you want to go further than that, go with it. But that's basically all you need is to understand the language and the notation within 4/4. or if you're in 9/8 or 9/4 or 5/4 or 6/8. It's simple. I'm sure he knew that. Remember the Gene Krupa story? Oh, sorry, Gene, but everybody's gonna, because you can't read, you're not making the charts, and plus you're smoking that funny shit. So you gotta go. So Gene Krupa goes and gets his teacher. I don't know who the teacher was. Learns how to read, and comes back. The importance of reading, yes, if you're going to play with a 9-piece band and it's charted out, well, sure, you want to learn how to read. But I mean, basic, simple patterns. If you go to the back of this book, it's very basic reading. And you should be able to do that. Everybody here understand how to read the back of the book? Yes? No? Okay. Now, I didn't go over, there's two different variations I'd like to do with the 7. And again, we're going to go, the first variation I'd like to do, other than we just did 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and that's showing you the sticking plus the level position and the accent in formation, either in 6/8 or 4/4, okay? I'd rather do it in 4/4. The next variation, again, we're going to go back to the triplet rolls. So if I took one triplet, 1 and da, and doubled it, that would give me 6 counts. 1 and da. Then I need one more to make the 7. So what I'm doing, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. But notice whether you lead with the right, make constant rights or constant lefts, the level is always up before the up and coming accent. Do we understand that, ladies and gentlemen? It's a very basic lesson. Now what I did was take a triplet formation there and play the 7. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and alternating in between the hands and the bass drum. There's so much you can do. What's that? Buddy Rich used Henry Adler, I think, to interpret the music for him at times, if I remember right. I don't know. I never read that. All I'm looking at now, I met Buddy Rich a couple times, all right, and I didn't ask him any questions or anything like that. I was just in shock and in awe. I mean, I was a kid. Ah, Buddy Rich, wow. Well, and he was a nice guy. He really was. But as far as him reading, I don't know the details. I mean, everybody says, well, you don't know how to read. Well, like I said, if you open up the portraits and rhythms or a chart, I mean, he might have had difficulty. See, Buddy Rich was so talented, and it's not because it was natural. Think about this, guys. When you were a little child, a little baby, say a year old, 2 years old, and your mom and dad had to go to work, you had a babysitter. So you'd be playing in your playpen, and the lady who was babysitting you would be cooking or watching her soap operas or whatever. But when Buddy Rich was a child, 2, 3 years old, 1, 2, 3 years old, he was in a playpen, like every normal child. However, his babysitter, or sitters, were the drummers in the pit band, because his mom and dad were in vaudeville. So think about that, 2, 3, 4 years old, you're watching a drummer play all the time throughout the shows, instead of watching SpongeBob or whatever they watch. I mean, that as a child, you hearing all that shit, I mean, not shit, all that music, and it's going to be there for you. So you're ahead of the game. Well, when you guys were 4 years old, did you ever listen to a Duke Ellington tune? Or Benny Goodman? Well, he had it there, man. He was like, being babysitted by these dudes. Harry James. What can I tell you? Okay, so that's the 5 and the 7. Anything else, guys? Oh, one more formation with the 7. No, we got it in eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, we got that. Then we did it in the triplet formation. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now the next one, you need to understand, all right, how to read 32nd notes. If I say 1, and I'm going to count 16ths. 1 E and 2 E. There's a 7 in a different formation. I'm going to write all this down. You were you were listening to Leonard Skinner at 4 years old? Well, I don't think Leonard Skinner was born when Buddy Rich was 4 or 5 years old. But think about what I just said. I mean, I read this, you know, in stories, and I talked to Kathy Rich about it, and she agreed. That's how her dad was brought up. Okay, in the playpen, in the drum pit, in the pit with the vaudeville musicians next to the drummer. I mean, that's a lot, man. Okay, whatever that means, I was not you. Okay. All right, so that's the 5 and the 7. Did we understand that last formation? Because we'll go to the 9-stroke roll and the 9-stroke roughs. Any questions on the 5 and the 7? Any question? Yep, that's it. Taps the Wonder Child. And that's a true story. That's what exactly happened. Okay? All right, we're going to go to the 9-stroke rough. Again, it's presented bottom line, ground zero, and 6/8. This time we have 16th notes in 6/8. So if I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I'm still going to leave the 6 out. However, I'm going to count these as 16th notes in 6/8. This is one of the reasons why you need to learn how to read. So you have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and. The 6 and the 5 and the 6 and they're out. Nice and easy. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and. Yeah, that would be nice. When I was a kid, 5, 6 years old, my parents were listening to Patti Page instead of instead of Aretha Franklin. It would have been a different story for me. But I got the Patti Page thing down, and all those goofies, Perry Como, ha! Andy Williams. That was my listening then. And then when the Beatles came into view, I started listening to the Beatles and Led Zeppelin, and my parents thought I was wacky. That's not music. Everybody goes through it. So we all understand the 5, the 7. How about the 9? You want me to go over that a little bit more? Instead of talking about Buddy Rich's. Yeah, he did live with Dennis. Instead of me talking about Buddy Rich, I have some good stories about Joe Morello. Joe Morello could read, and read well, although he was legally considered blind. Yeah, Lawrence Welk. You had to throw that one. I forgot about that dude. He was hip. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4, bop, bop. Anyway, I forgot the drummer's name with him, but he was a pretty good drummer. I forgot his name. All right, everybody understand the 5, which the message retracted. What do you say? Why'd you retract it, Bob? Does everybody understand the 5, the 7, and the 9? Now the 9 has a lot of variables, but I'm about to say, okay, good night until tonight, 7 p.m. Do we understand it? Questions? I'm going to try. I can't promise you, but I'm going to try to do a funk pattern utilizing the 7s and the 5s and even the 9s, and the difference between the rough and the roll. So you could take it into practical. The Wilk system, I never heard of them. I heard of Lawrence Wilk. The Jackson 5. Who was the other one? Donnie and Marie Osmond. You got it, Paul? All right. Any questions? So, Stacy, I wouldn't throw those books away or move them to the side. They are some good information in there, basic information. And then from that book, you can go any place you'd like. Any questions on anything, guys? No questions. I'm sorry about the lag. There's nothing I can do about that. That's just the internet itself. All right, old dog. Old dog, do you have the Buddy Rich book? You don't have to buy it, but you know, you have it. Yeah, 9-stroke roll and 6/8. You have a question? Okay, if you're in 6/8, that's the reason why you need to read. Okay. I could say, all right, forget it, I'll address it tonight. But I'm going to address it right now. See, this is why I should write it out. Okay, 6/8 means there's 6 beats to a measure, and each eighth note receives a count or a beat. However, we're going to do the 9-stroke roll in 6/8. So how can I get 9 strokes equal, well, they're not going to be equal, in 6/8? How can I get 9 strokes out without losing the groove of 6/8? Well, if I'm playing just straight ahead 6/8 on the, come on, Mike, on the snare drum, and I'm going to do it on my hi-hat. Could you see that? No? How about here? All right, I'll do it here. If I do 6/8 just on the snare drum, I'll move it over a little more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6/8. Now, I'm going to double the count. I'm going to do 16th notes in 6/8, but I'm going to stop at 5. I'm not going to play no level in here. Okay? So we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. I'm going to count 6 to make the measure complete. But if I play 5 strokes like that, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, that's 9 strokes. Do you understand that, Robert? I will write it out this evening, for you this evening. You did drum corps. That's a good experience. A very good experience. That's who he was. Are you a historian, Miss Tracy? Stacy, rather? Well, like I said, whoever that was a good drummer, and he made a good living. Okay, so I'm going to sign off until this evening. No more questions. Jimmy, you still here? Oh, okay. Thank you, Stacy. That's very kind of you. You know, there's some information I like and some information I really don't care about, but that's nice now. John Klein. Thank you. Okay, any questions before I close up? Jimmy's out playing the saxophone.